Welcome to United Network News, the official news channel for CARE, the Center for Amity and Restoration of Earth. I'm Sunny Galt. At UNN, you get the real news. Through our field messengers, we show you the truth about what's really taking place in our communities. We also bring you stories to help you remember who you are and why you're here, as well as regional stories that impact the people. And our World Situation Report reveals what's happening throughout the multiverse. We are here to restore Earth. In the U.S., it is Monday, June 24th, 2024. In Uganda, the educational experience for students varies from school to school, and it's not always consistent even in the same classroom. We'll hear firsthand from a student about some of the challenges. Also in Uganda, we're learning more about a local dish made from plantain bananas. We'll show you how it's typically prepared. Knowing the right frequency can heal any ailment or sickness. Today we've got some tips on what to include in your frequency first aid kit. A huge cyber attack is impacting more than 15,000 auto dealers across the U.S., causing major disruptions in processing paperwork and other financial transactions. And Egypt tries to stop illegal pilgrimages to Mecca in Saudi Arabia after more than 1,000 people die from severe heat.
This is Calen Gipp, messenger for United Network News. Here's a look at today's field messenger reports from all around the world. Today we have an update on the educational experience of students in Uganda. Despite the presence of the teachers, classes are often missed or rescheduled, leading to significant disruptions in learning. UNN field messenger Mwandha Michael interviews his niece Brittany about her schooling experience during the first semester of 2024.
I am Mwandha Michael, field messenger UNN, reporting tonight from Jinja here in eastern Uganda. Today we are catching up with Britain. The first term of semester is completed. It has been a long time since you left our home.
Yeah, a long time.
Has been school?
Not very good, not all that good, because of the standard that is at school. It's not very good.
What do you mean by standard?
Like, I mean what the standard is, like the teachings of the school. I'm supposed to have 4 lessons today, then I may have 2 lessons a day. And that may disturb my studying, because today I'm supposed to get 4 subjects and I get 2. Tomorrow, and I'm supposed again to get the other remaining subjects next week. So that means I'll miss another work.
Okay.
Yes.
So, do they teach sciences or?
They teach sciences, but not every time. Like I have told you that sometimes we miss other subjects because we are not taught other subjects sometimes.
Is it because lack of teachers or the staffing is less?
No.
Because of that?
Like we have the teachers, not like we don't have. We have the teachers, but they may come and tell like the teacher is sick, will come next week, so you suffer. They tell you revise the books, you revise what you are not understanding.
So they are there, but they are not committed.
Yes.
Thank you, Mwandha Michael, UNN field messenger, reporting. I love you. I love you. I love you so much.
Matooke, a staple dish in Uganda made from plantain bananas, is prepared by steaming peeled plantains wrapped in leaves over a charcoal fire. It is traditionally served with vegetables, meat and sauce. UNN field messenger Dianne shares this authentic cooking process.
Hello, field messenger Dianne reporting for Eastern Uganda for United Network News. Today I am with my girlfriend Annette and Janet, and they will be showing us how to make Matooke, a popular dish here in Uganda. On arrival to the kitchen site, Janet and I find Annette preparing the Matooke leaf. This leaf will be used in the cooking process. Matooke in English is known as the plantain banana. It is a staple crop here in Uganda. Almost every home with a garden, you will see a Matooke tree growing. Here, the Matooke is being prepared. The outer skin is taken off. It is time to start the fire. Today we are cooking in the garage. Bricks have been laid for the cooking pot to sit on. The heat will be generated using charcoal and sticks. The Matooke is cooked by way of steaming. The stems from the back of the leaves go into the bottom of the pot. The washed leaves are placed in the pot next, with the peeled Matooke put on top. Gently pushing, tucking and folding the leaves around the peeled Matooke, forming a secured parcel. Warm water is then added for the steaming process. The pot will sit on fire for about 20 to 30 minutes. The leaves surrounding the Matooke will add flavour. Once cooked, the final process before serving is to smash the Matooke together. This is done by pressing down on the contents in the pot. Matooke is a starchy texture. It is a creamy flavour, normally served with other vegetables and meat with a sauce. A very stable diet in this region of Uganda. Thank you for watching.
We want you to become a UNN field messenger. These are everyday people just like you who want to make a difference in their community. You don't need any special training or equipment. Just use the camera on your mobile phone and show us what's happening in your area. You send us your videos and our production team will create the report for you. Our new website is now up and running at unitednetwork.earth. You can submit your Field Messenger reports directly through the Field Messenger tab at the top of the page. You can also email your reports to our new email address at fieldmessenger@unitednetwork.earth.
Hey, I'm Kirsten from Switzerland.
This is Wayne from Tucson.
Hi, my name is Desmond from Ghana.
I am Claudia from Dawsonville, Georgia.
I'm Mikey from Pretoria, South Africa.
Hi, I'm Steve McGrath, Fort McMurray, Alberta, Canada.
People from all around the world are coming together.
Happy day, beautiful world. We are here in a rather small urban garden, and this video is just to show you the joys that we've had in this garden with the electric gardening.
When news happens in their area, they show us what's really going on.
We have people in the streets protesting for and against.
At United Network News, our field messengers are changing the face of news.
This is Field Messenger Helen reporting with Nature, and I'm going to talk to you about the bees again.
Take the next step in restoring our planet. Become a UNN Field Messenger today.
Hi, I'm Stephanie from South Africa. If it's going to be, it's up to me.
If it's going to be, it's up to me.
It's up to me.
It's up to me. It's up to me.
It's up to me.
It's up to all of us. We're UNN, and we're taking back the news.
How we heal our bodies is changing in the new earth. Understanding frequency is the key to healing any issue you may experience. Jai Hain is a quantum osteopath and a frequency specialist based in the Netherlands. He also runs a school of frequency and works within the quantum field to help humanity restore balance and well-being. Today, Jai gives us a list of essential items he'd recommend in what he calls a frequency first aid kit. So Jai is back with us. Of course, we're talking about frequency. And in the past, Jai, we have talked about different types of technology that can help improve frequency, detect frequency, all of that. But today we're talking about your frequency first aid kit. So if you didn't have all the fancy stuff and you had your little first aid kit of things to help improve your frequency, these are some of the things that we could put inside of it to help us. So Jai, what would you put in your first aid kit for frequency?
Yeah, always have oregano oil in your cupboard.
Oregano oil is great against food poisoning or anything that goes wrong, and when you feel nausea or you need a natural antibiotic. This is probably world's best and most powerful natural antibiotic, and you will feel the relief within half an hour. It could be possible. I've prevented a lot of food poisoning like this in Thailand. So oregano oil, it's a very potent one. Another potent one is wormwood. Always have it in your cupboard. If you want to make tea, it's great to make wormwood tea. It's great against parasites and candida. And these days, people are struggling with these harmful invaders, right?
Yep.
So wormwood covers a lot of those harmful invaders.
Okay.
Then the next thing I'm going to call out, I've already mentioned before, is H2 water or molecular hydrogen water. Mm-hmm. Right now, you can find it on our website. Feel free to reach out to us. We have an amazing technology for this molecular hydrogen in your water, in a bottle, and with just one press on the button, it revitalizes your water with the most powerful antioxidant, which means it takes away inflammation, it improves your memory, it goes straight to your brain, it can alleviate your headache. Many things, and the future of molecular hydrogen is big. Feel free to Google it. And then the next thing is urine. Now, this is for some people like, ooh. Well,
a lot of people went,
But it's not controversial. These days, it's a very ancient practice, actually. And imagine that before you were born, you were swimming in your own urine in your mother's womb.
It's true.
And so drinking your own urine isn't that silly of an idea, but using it when you need it, that can be gold. And when you are deprived of something or you have a deficiency, you might replenish it back through your urine, right? If you have hair loss and you have some morning urine, you've saved it up, you put it in your hair every day, no worries, you won't smell it. It's brilliant. It can regrow your hair. Your eczema, your psoriasis, really you can Google some things on it. It can take you to the furthest. I've seen really miraculous thing happen for my clients when they apply it, because it's the body's own medicine, right? So it has its own potions installed for you there.
Okay.
And then the final thing, this was pranic living or life force living. If you go to our website, you can find it there. Why is this the best frequency medicine out there? Well, again, it's something that is very cheap. It is for free. It's just a little bit different of a diet. It has to do with fasting, but it's not really. Let me explain it like this. They've done a research one day where they wanted to calculate how much energy you need to have this body run in full glory. So all the body systems, all the brain, everything is working. And how much calories do you need for that? They estimated an amount of at least 10,000 calories. But we only eat 3,000 calories a day. Right. So where's the other 7,000 calories coming from? Mm-hmm. So this is coming from Life Force. And what if I tell you through Life Force living, you can expand this ability to live on less calories, so on less food, so you have less cravings, less addictions, and less dependency on the consumption of food. And you are enhancing this frequency machine. You're enhancing the life force that can reshape, restore, rebalance, regenerate everything. And the body knows all the secrets how to do that. This is just how you create the perfect environment for it. And that's really all I have to say about it.
Wow. So I think that last one, the pranic living, I think people are going to get caught in their own head on that, right? Because so much, I've done some fasting in the past for extended periods of time. And one of the things I noticed is how much food is part of our culture in almost everything we do, right? So what you're saying is, I mean, I'm sure there's a process of weaning off stuff and you don't do it overnight and all this kind of stuff, right? But what you're saying is there's enough, life force out there of the calories or the things that we're consuming to survive every day that is coming from source, God, energy out there, right? And so you don't really need all of those, you might want to eat or whatever, but it's not necessarily, when you look at the numbers, you don't necessarily need it. And we know this from other beings that don't, right? They don't eat like we do.
Yeah. But it's like entrainment. It's like running a marathon. If you're overweight and obese, then you cannot run a marathon straight away. So you have to train for it. Right. But you can expand more and teach your body more to live on life force instead of food intake. And you can do it in the most fun and easy way possible because you don't have to do fasting for it. Fasting makes you feel hungry, deprived, unsaturated, even starvation. If you fast too long, it can really harm you. But we teach it in a way where you're not fasting, you're just mostly on a liquid diet. We do it with a lot of like-minded people, so there's a good spirit in it. And we have a lot of feedback from people saying they never want to go back. I now have a client, he's running on day 90 of not having any solid food, only liquids, and he's happier than ever. He actually never really wants to go back. I just have to tell them, go have a Christmas dinner with your mother.
Because it is part of our culture. I mean, food is like everywhere here, but that's incredible. Wow. Richard Casper, an Iraq war veteran turned artist, founded Creativets to assist fellow veterans living with PTSD and physical trauma. This unique program uses the therapeutic powers of drawing and songwriting to aid in the healing process of ex-servicemen reluctant to discuss their traumatic experiences. Using Richard's own healing as a source of inspiration, Creativets offers combat veterans a chance to attend a 3-week fully accredited art summer school where they can also share their war experiences with their peers. Through collaboration with renowned Nashville songwriters, veterans can choose to translate their emotions and stories into songs, providing a powerful outlet for deep emotions. The Creativets program pays for all flights, tuition, housing, and meals. It aims to expand into film and other arts, continuing to change veterans' lives by offering cost-free, creative solutions for healing trauma. A prison in Albion, Pennsylvania has introduced a specialized wing designed for inmates with autism and other developmental disabilities. This innovative program is the first of its kind in the state and offers a safe environment where 45 inmates can receive individualized treatments. The small size allows staff to focus on each person individually and create a calm environment. Inmates can use resources like puzzles, yoga mats, and drawing supplies, making the atmosphere feel more therapeutic and less like a typical prison. Resources like emotional support programs, supervised medication distribution, and specialized treatment are also available to help inmates manage stress. Staff members receive regular training to ensure they can provide appropriate care with a focus on calming techniques and crisis intervention. Instead of using solitary confinement, the institution employs transitional cells. These cells help inmates regain their emotional balance without losing the progress they've made in therapy. Experts believe this unit is setting a new standard for disability care within the prison system, better addressing the unique needs of autistic inmates. Carnegie Hall in New York recently launched a series of well-being concerts that blend world-class music with elements of mental self-care and mindfulness. Inspired by research showing that music can reduce stress, anxiety, and loneliness, these concerts aim to improve mental health and enhance the quality of life, especially for individuals with long-term illnesses. The concerts create an immersive and nurturing environment where audiences can experience therapeutic benefits. Unlike traditional concerts, attendance is limited to 100 people who are encouraged to sit or lie on the floor if they find it more relaxing. Interaction with others is encouraged to share the experience on multiple levels. Many report feelings of calm and peace even after leaving the event, highlighting the evident benefits of these concerts. We are United Network News. Every day, we release real stories from real people all over the world.
Field Messenger reporting from Gold Coast, Australia.
Denmark,
Canada,
Uganda.
From Atlanta in Southern California.
In their own words, people like you share what's really happening in their area. At UNN, you are the news. You are creating a new world with infinite possibilities. You are the restoration plan. Come join us for the real news every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, only on United Network. We're UNN, and we're taking back the news. New details show an Eastern European hacking group is likely responsible for the cyber attack of CDK Global, a popular software used by auto dealerships. The attackers are demanding tens of millions in ransom, crippling around 15,000 auto dealerships across the U.S. CDK is reportedly considering payment. The hack has paralyzed essential dealership management systems, halting sales and forcing some dealers to process transactions manually. Despite early restoration efforts, a second attack shut down systems midweek. This has caused significant disruptions, preventing dealers from processing paperwork and financial transactions. There are no current reports of foreign adversary involvement, and CDK has not provided a timeline for system restoration. Heavy rainfall has led to an increase in untreated sewage discharges in the UK, escalating to a record 464,000 spills last year. These spills, totaling 3.6 million hours, have resulted in rivers polluted with human waste. The lack of infrastructure updates has attracted criticism toward Ofwat, the industry's financial regulator. Water companies argue they need higher rates to fund improvements, while they have been accused of prioritizing shareholder dividends over necessary upgrades. Local councils and community members are losing confidence in water providers, with some demanding nationalization due to ongoing pollution, tarnishing community landmarks. Efforts for regulatory changes are gaining political traction, but detailed funding plans remain largely absent from party agendas. Barcelona, a major Spanish tourist destination, plans to ban apartment rentals to tourists to improve housing for local residents. The city council aims to eliminate 10,000 tourist flat licenses during the next 5 years. This move addresses the national housing crisis, prioritizing residential use in one of Europe's most visited cities. Authorities will regulate tourist flats, continuing a freeze on new licenses since 2014. The city has seen significant rent increases due to a decline in housing supply for residents. City officials describe the measure as a turning point in addressing housing access, especially for young people, and aim to ensure residents' right to live in Barcelona. The 5-year phase-out period is intended as compensation for landlords. Egypt has revoked the licenses of 16 tourism companies for organizing illegal Hajj trips to Saudi Arabia. The Hajj, an annual pilgrimage to Mecca, is a mandatory religious duty for Muslims. More than 1,000 people died during this year's Hajj, many from extreme heat exceeding 50 degrees Celsius, which is about 122 degrees Fahrenheit. Reports show Egyptians made up 658 of those deaths, with 630 being unregistered pilgrims. The revoked licenses include fines for supporting victims' families. The government claims these companies used personal visit visas, causing unregistered pilgrims to face extreme conditions and overcrowding. Hajj pilgrims need specific visas obtained through a lottery and a quota system, with unregistered pilgrims risking arrest or deportation. The Hajj's timing, based on the Islamic lunar calendar, means recent pilgrimages have occurred in the hot Saudi summer. Namibia's High Court has overturned a law criminalizing gay sex. The law, inherited from South Africa's apartheid-era legislation, was rarely enforced but contributed to societal discrimination and police violence against LGBTQ+ individuals. The court declared this law as unfair discrimination, noting similar acts between heterosexual couples were not criminalized. The ruling is expected to enhance healthcare access for LGBTQ+ Namibians, reducing stigma and encouraging HIV testing. Despite Namibia's high tolerance level for LGBTQ+ rights compared to other African nations, recent conservative backlash and legal developments indicate ongoing struggles. Activist groups reported a rise in hate crimes, with 6 LGBTQ+ individuals killed since Parliament introduced a bill defining marriage strictly as between a man and a woman. Health authorities in the Ivory Coast have launched mobile enrollment centers to improve access to universal health coverage programs. Now, the program has been criticized since its 2019 inception for accessibility issues. Despite its aim to cover 70% of healthcare costs for a monthly fee of around $1.65, less than half the population has enrolled. Participants report challenges, including inoperative medicine vouchers at pharmacies, forcing them to pay out of pocket. The new mobile centers, set up in markets and remote neighborhoods, provide on-site enrollment and cards for immediate care. Still, residents report frequent card rejections. The health minister hopes to enroll 20 million citizens by year end, aspiring for comprehensive basic insurance. Youth-led protests in Kenya against a controversial finance bill are gaining momentum on social media platforms like TikTok and X. Mainly involving Gen Z and millennials, the protests highlight Kenya's high internet access and smartphone usage, with 75% of the population under 35. On Saturday, an online protest on X peaked at 60,000 live listeners and had 1.2 million views, showing social media's key role in shaping the narrative. Viral TikTok protest videos boost morale and offer protection against police brutality. Protesters criticize mainstream media coverage and challenge perceived misreporting. The online movement saw citizens sharing lawmakers' contacts to oppose the bill. Despite protests, MPs passed the bill on Thursday, proposing tax hikes on items like bread and mobile money transfers. Activists vow to continue if their demands are not met. Tribal fighting in Papua New Guinea is being aggravated by national politicians and pastors supplying guns and ammunition. The region has experienced continuous tribal violence since the 2022 national elections, with homes, churches, and businesses being destroyed and dozens killed in subsequent battles. Military-style weapons, which are costly, suggest that well-connected individuals are financing the violence. Calls for changes in law and policy focus on targeting those funding the conflict rather than just the individuals carrying out the violence. Cultural expectations of retaliation further fuel the cycle of violence. However, leaders have urged restraint and a reliance on legal processes. Emphasizing the necessity for peace for development, education is seen as crucial in changing perceptions about tribal fighting. The Australian federal government is mandating large supermarket chains treat suppliers fairly, backed by significant fines. The code will apply to supermarkets with more than $5 billion in annual revenue, including Coles, Woolworths, Aldi, and Metcash. Supermarkets must now deal in good faith and avoid retaliating against suppliers who file complaints. Fines for non-compliance can reach up to $10 million or 10% of annual turnover. Suppliers will have access to independent arbitrators for compensation, replacing the ineffective voluntary code. This change aims to balance the power dynamics between supermarkets and suppliers, providing smaller suppliers and farmers more security and fair treatment. Such measures are anticipated to create a more equitable marketplace, potentially leading to fairer prices for consumers and better business practices within the industry. The police in India have uncovered a scam involving at least 30 students who allegedly paid between $12,000 and $50,000 to pass medical exams. The scam, involving private coaching centers, teachers, and a supervisor at the exam center, resulted in 5 arrests. Protests erupted, demanding accountability. The Supreme Court criticized the National Testing Agency, but did not defer the allocation of medical seats. Despite allegations, no evidence ties any government minister to the misconduct. Opposition leaders have condemned the government's handling of these exams, citing the recent rise in student suicides. Education experts warn the highly centralized examination system can cause severe trauma, urging a re-evaluation to prevent further harm to students' futures. Kazakhstan's method for setting the poverty line is under scrutiny for not reflecting the true number of people living below humane standards. The government sets the poverty line at around $70 per month, resulting in an official poverty rate of 5.1%. However, using an international benchmark of $3.65 a day, the poverty rate would be closer to 10%. This could increase those eligible for government assistance. Current standards lead to minimal aid as the government underreports poverty to cut spending. Economists note extreme weather makes survival on such a low income particularly difficult in Kazakhstan. The methodology for setting minimum wages and assessing joblessness also faces scrutiny. Authorities have historically set the minimum wage without considering real living costs and categorize unpaid family workers as self-employed, masking true unemployment rates. Food Banks Canada has issued a new report indicating 25% of Canadians may be living in poverty, significantly higher than past estimates. The report highlights many are unable to afford basic necessities such as transportation, footwear, and participation in special occasions. According to the findings, 10 million Canadians struggle with affording at least 2 essential items, with young adults, single-parent households, and renters being the most affected groups. Minority communities, including Black and Indigenous people, individuals with disabilities, and unemployed, are those on government assistance, and those on government assistance face higher levels of deprivation. The report challenges the current income-based poverty line, suggesting the true extent of poverty in Canada is more substantial than previously recognized. In the U.S., Atlanta and Denver have introduced innovative micro-community programs to combat homelessness. These initiatives transition individuals from streets and shelters into small cabin-like structures and converted hotel units. The cities aim to provide stability and support, offering essentials like bathrooms, showers, and kitchens, alongside case management and therapy services. Denver's initiative created nearly 160 units at $25,000 each, while Atlanta's project developed units at $125,000 each within 4 months. Both cities report promising results, but challenges remain in expanding these programs amid local pushback. Atlanta plans to add 500 rapid housing units by December of 2025. Also in the U.S., Louisiana is now the first state to mandate the 10 Commandments in every public school classroom. The new law requires prominent displays of the religious text in classrooms from kindergarten to universities by 2025. Supporters argue the Ten Commandments hold historical importance. Opponents plan to challenge the law's constitutionality, citing concerns about religious freedom and student safety. Civil rights groups argue the law may alienate students of differing beliefs, potentially impacting their educational experience. The posters will be funded by donations, as state funds are not allocated for this purpose. A recent report reveals fake news websites outnumber legitimate local news sites in the U.S., driven largely by Russian involvement. These sites, often termed pink slime for their low-quality content, are run by partisan entities for those seeking profit through clickbait. The use of advanced technology and AI has significantly increased their production and spread. The number of legitimate local news sites has reached a historic low, with many U.S. communities becoming news deserts where access to local news is either non-existent or severely limited. The decline in local news has left a void that is being exploited by producers of these fake websites, leading to a flood of misinformation and disinformation. Media analysts warn this surge threatens press freedom and could influence upcoming elections, further eroding the public's trust in online media. We have an exciting new announcement. We have launched a new global TV service specifically for the UNN community. Thousands of live TV channels, 60,000 movies on demand, over 30 languages, and live sports from around the globe. Between all the separate streaming services and cable for live TV and sports packages, it could cost well over $200 a month. But now with United TV, you can have it all for only $15.99 a month. Go to unitedtv.org and check it out. Get so much more for so much less. And now, the World Situation Report with Kimberly Gogan from the Office of the Guardian. Have you ever heard of the Black Pyramids of Alaska? This secret Space Force base was not built by humans. The deep state started rumors on Saturday they thought would lead to a legal issue for Kim. Did they figure out they were wrong? Now here's Kimberly Gogan with the Office of the Guardian. Kim, we're back together again.
I know. I'm so sorry.
Last week felt a little strange. I was like, where's Kim? I miss Kim.
I know. I missed you too, Miss Sunny. I've been talking all by myself over here.
I know. Well, I know there was a lot that we discussed last week. So where do you want to start?
Oh, dear. I know. We could recap some of your thoughts if you had any questions on Wednesday's news. That was pretty long.
That was a long one.
Yeah. So it was fun to do, though, and there's a lot more like that to come. And I got to get my whiteboard out a little more often. Just been a little hectic, around here, honestly. And this weekend was pretty hectic as well. And pretty much, I guess I would say that we're coming to an end here as far as any kind of deep web access or any programs that were still running that was tying everything together. Mm-hmm. But throughout the course of this, we had discovered something interesting. And I thought I would share it because there's a lot of information on the internet about things like the Bermuda Triangle, Area 51, some cases Area 52, Los Alamos, New Mexico, and everybody kind of seems to talk about the same places repeatedly in a different way with lots of whistleblowers that talk about the same. Mm-hmm. But there's very little information out there about the Black Pyramids in Alaska.
Right.
Now, this was... and I can say was, pretty confidently, an enormous base underneath Alaska, probably one of the largest in the world. This is what you would call a deep underground military base, not run by your normal military, although it appears that everybody kind of was involved So there was a lot of agency involvement, a lot of military involvement in the base, but the super secret stuff happened way below ground.
Mm-hmm.
Now, this place, and I think we've got a map. As you can see, it covers a large portion of Alaska, and it's around this triangle here that you see. There was also a large circle around it that went all the way through Canada and even parts of the U.S. Why was this base so big? There are a lot of reports, not a lot, actually, very few reports, I should say, on the internet about this base. And in some of those very few reports, they talk about a few whistleblowers that have come forward that have gone down into this base. There are a few people that have talked about it like it's the Bermuda Triangle. They say that when you fly over this certain area and you get close to the epicenter in the middle of this triangle, they have system malfunctions, their radar equipment stops working, those types of things, and everything has to go manual from that point. I wouldn't doubt it. They talk about it as if it is a giant energy generator. This is what the internet reports. Is that the case? The answer to the question is no. What this actually was, it was a base route platform to where Omega would breach into this side of the universe.
Oh, wow.
Yep. In the center of this is where you would find what they call the Black Pyramid. So there are like literally, I tried to scour the internet once I found this. I'm like, someone's got to be talking about this because, you know, it's bigger than Area 51, bigger than Area 52, bigger than the Bermuda Triangle, lost city of Atlantis, and all this other things that everybody talks about, but nobody there's like 3 reports literally, and I think 2 of them are from the same guy.
Okay.
So this was the source of our problem. And we had talked a few weeks back about us putting this Faraday cage around Omega, trying to isolate it, and where is it still getting power from? And here's my answer. It is an enormously large energy generator which powered Omega on the entire side of this universe. So in other words, in the Alphaverse.
Yeah.
I know. Big find there. Lots of people, lots of laboratories, lots of experimentation. And in the past, there was a direct portal for humans to go as far down as the 6th density in the lower astral to work, whether they knew it or not.
Okay. And was this part of some sort of soul transfer? We've talked about that before. Was it different than that?
It really wasn't a soul transfer as much as it was a sentient AI base platform for the generation of energy.
Okay.
The scientists that have gone down to this area have said that the pyramid that they could see, because this is just the tip of the iceberg. It's like the little anthill you see, you know, before you get down into the anthole and you see all the arms and legs. But this one here, they knew that it was generating some kind of energy. And at least in the internet reports, they really don't go into too much detail. But this actually was a large transmuter, which means that it takes that light energy that us batteries generate for it and then transmutes it into something dark to then power the Omega. Now, it comes as no surprise that there's a lot of military activity in Alaska for this very reason. One of the other things that you will remember, this is where HAARP started. Yep, for the entire world.
Wow.
Yep, why was that? This was also the hub for the CIA's what we call a VTX platform, which means that it was a direct connection to your financial system back a few years back before we installed Key Integrated Monetary System. So lots of things take place in Alaska for this very reason. Now, did it give them access to Omega per se from this area? You know, I'm going to say limited access, but it did allow them to do a lot of experimentation against humans for utilizing dark energy, dark matter, and those types of things, and how this affects us. So much so, we uncovered a second thing actually tied to this base. And you're going to find this one really, really interesting. So a few months back, maybe even it was almost a year ago now, there was this big thing and a big push to install LED lights into all commercial buildings.
Yeah.
And they were going to ban regular light bulbs. Now, the ones that you put in your home, the small ones in your, you know, bathroom or whatever, aren't really the ones that they were shooting for. They were shooting for a connection to the large commercial ones, which are your long fluorescent lights.
Okay.
And how they could use this dark energy through two different facilities. I'm just going to say both of them are in the United States. I'm not going to disclose where they are. And they could use this dark energy coming from there to cause issues with human beings while you're shopping at the grocery store. As an example, if you remember, we played a video a few months back about a school where the teacher said that the kids were increasingly agitated after the installation of these LED lights and how it was affecting his students. And then once he put a blue panel over those lights, the students went back to normal the way they were the year before. So this has directly affected a lot of humans. There are a few other energy type experiments that have been going on based in from this same location. This was, like I said, this was only a main hub. There are two other locations that I am aware of so far in the United States that were tied to this, because this just happened yesterday afternoon, and we've been searching. But this is just one way in one experiment that you all can probably relate to. You know, I know for myself, you know, if I go to a grocery store or a Walmart, which I hate to do, but have to do from time to time. You know, I kept thinking, what has changed since COVID? Because after the lockdowns and all that, I'm thinking, are they spraying something in the air? My eyes would get all red and irritated and blurry, and I just wouldn't feel good, and I just needed to get the heck out of there. I know that there were a number of reports that I got even during that time where people would say, well, you know, I can't go in there anymore. It must be the disinfectant that they're spraying. You know, it's making me feel ill. I feel like they're transmitting some kind of frequency in here for those that are very sensitive, and they weren't sure why. Well, now we have the answer.
Wow.
I know. It's dastardly, really. So we're going to continue to look for additional locations tied to this that are running the program through the LED lights. They're putting something into those commercial grade LED fluorescent lights, I guess you would say, that is causing serious neurological issues in human beings. Vision issues, all kinds of different things. It's affecting different areas of your brain. And who doesn't have to go to the grocery store if you live in America? Very few people live on a farm, can have all they need to eat. So, you know, between that or, you know, malls or whatever it is, if you've been experiencing in some areas these types of physical disturbances when you go to the store, you know, I even did a little bit of an experiment myself, in the last couple days on the same thing, because I'm like, it's got to be I had to go to take my daughter somewhere. I'll just leave it at that. Won't say where, but and it wasn't a good experience. It was something I had to do for her. And the minute I walked into this building, my eyes were just burning, like flaming, burning. And I'm like, what the heck is in this place? Are they disinfecting this with cyanide or something? Like, what is going on in here? And I just assumed it was some kind of a disinfectant because it was a medical facility. So,
yeah.
And I'm like, this is unbelievable. I just couldn't wait to get out. I kept walking in and out while we were waiting for things and that type of thing because I couldn't handle it. So in my mind, I kept thinking, oh, disinfectant. I don't use chemicals typically for that type of thing. So, I would be super sensitive to something like that.
Yeah.
And then I had to go to Walgreens to pick up which is a pharmacy. You call it a pharmacy in other parts of the world. So depending on where you're watching this, and the same thing. I'm like, I'm going to try something here. I'm like, I can't believe that everybody would be using the same disinfectant. Like, this is crazy. So I tried a little experiment and I tried to block it out. So I use this kind of shielding technique thing that I do. And then I go searching for the source of it. And this is basically where I found it. So I'm like, oh my God, it's in the lights. I'm like, that makes so much sense, because the second I blocked it, my eyes were not itchy and red anymore. I was feeling fine. I could finish doing what I needed to do in there for my daughter. And then I left. And I'm like, wow, frequencies in the light bulbs. I'm like, how dastardly is that? Every single commercial facility we have in the U.S. had to convert to these types of lights in the last year. I know.
Gosh.
So you think about your schools and everybody else that's being affected. So obviously we're not going to unscrew every light bulb in every commercial building in the United States, but we can find the source of where the frequencies are coming from.
Sure.
Because it's not coming from inside the store, and it's not coming from the electrical installations in the buildings. So we will absolutely continue to hunt and peck.
Wow.
And see what else we can find as far as control centers. But we've got 2 down and the third one, which is in Alaska. So hopefully this will lessen this over the course of the next couple of days. But we'll let you know how this goes, and we'll let you know if we find any more facilities, because I'll be working on that this afternoon too. So interesting information. If you can find more information about the Black Pyramids in Alaska, do take a look. It's very interesting. And why nobody's talking about it, I have no idea. Probably because it's the one place they're trying to cover up. This facility had tethers and ties all the way to 0 point in Earth, which is the center beyond Earth's core. It had ties to Proxima Centauri. It had ties to the sun and the moon and Saturn, and a lot of stuff that used to be in the Omegaverse. So hopefully, now that we cut this off, it's a matter of time before there is no more power on that side. So that's a positive thing. Alternatively speaking, as far as the deep state is concerned, we've been playing against each other. Again, they're helping us tremendously by locating additional webs, meaning worldwide webs that they may have had some limited amount of access to, or we're trying to gain access to over the weekend. Continuously, it's all about the money for them. 99.9% of it. It mainly has to do with some kind of financial control. Well, I guess Saturday must have been a day they said, give us 24 hours on Friday, and that they would have it, by Saturday. And by Saturday night, apparently, it is all my fault. Now, in the words of global headquarters and the SSP, to places like the United States Congress and its operatives and banks around the world, as well as the treasury departments around the world and central banks around the world, including Saudi Arabia, Russia, and China and other countries, is that I am hacking their systems and taking them down.
Well, the taking them down part is right.
The
But they're hacking your
part is
system.
right.
Yeah, trying to hack your system, right.
But they tried to backtrack a little bit, tried to call me an international financial terrorist, which has already happened in the past. This is not new for me.
Yeah.
They also did a call to action for the United States government, trying to get me declared as a cyber terrorist, trying to take down the financial system of the United States, and loads of other things. Yes, on Saturday. And God bless them. It's because a lot of these people called the archivist and asked for information on us.
Oh, okay.
So this backfired tremendously. They couldn't give me credit. They couldn't say that I was anything. So they had to call me something. And they were hoping for some kind of a congressional action to where they could come and pick me up. This is all the back chatter, what they're talking about. They'd like to come and pick me up and extradite me out of this zone that I live in. And they would like to interrogate me and basically tell me, which I've already done this one too, that if I don't work for them, that I would go to jail or a mental institution or some kind of secure facility where they hold criminals, to which I would never see the light of day again.
Right.
So I have heard this before. It's been almost 10 years now since I've heard this. The Russians also tried to do the same thing to me. And I know, how do I say this in a nice way? Every single time something happens to me, I'm very resourceful, and I learn a way to counteract this type of action against me. In this particular case, we used this specific type of talk and all of the people they notified of this talk to send our own white papers out.
Okay.
Yes, we did. And so the information went out as such that basically I inherited this position. So in terms that they could understand, I am not a part of the other families, but the families are struggling to maintain some control over your respective country. And your banking institutions. They have no hope of ever providing you with a new financial system, a great reset financial system, an RV currency reset financial system, and therefore whatever they've promised you is a lie. However, if you'd like some assistance, you can give us a call or you can come to Durango, Colorado and sit down and have a meeting and we can discuss it.
So who all did this go out to, Kim?
Oh, it went out to all of Congress. It went out to the House. It went out to people at the White House. It went to, I know for a fact, it went to Saudi Arabia. It also went out to Iraq. It also went out to government officials in China. It went out to officials in Russia and a few other Eastern European countries that they made promises to. Definitely went out to the United Kingdom. This information went everywhere.
Okay.
So what was meant for our harm was again used for our good. And at this moment in time, I think they thought better of it, because even if they took me to a regular court, again, you're going to have to explain what the heck you're talking about, because I can tell you, I can go blonde on you in 2.2 seconds. And I'll be like, what do you mean? I don't really understand. What exactly were you using that for anyway? I don't know what that is. Do I have any history on my laptop of this information? Where are you getting the information that I'm this person? Are you sure you got the right person here? I mean, I can definitely, get all confused in a heartbeat. No offense to the other blondes watching this, but we've all done it, haven't we, ladies and gentlemen? Yes, we've all played blonde at one point or another in our life. At least the 70s and 80s and the blonde jokes gave us that, right? Give us a leg up somewhere along the way. So that was an interesting time for Saturday night. I know all of you on a Saturday night were probably, maybe spending time with family or going out, but this was my bit of fun on a Saturday night.
Oh,
so,
did you get any responses from the people that you sent stuff out to?
Not at this moment. I know that there was some meetings that went on Saturday and on Sunday with the archivist where a lot of information was put out. So I think everybody's trying to sort through the information. At this moment, it's still kind of early here in the U.S. I think everybody's doing a lot of checking. I see that coming out of a lot of files being run out of the Russian Federation, similar talks going back and forth between the Saudis and the Russians. It seems to be somewhat of a collaborative effort. Hoping this changes some things in the Middle East as well. There was a lot of talk about movement of troops over the weekend. There was a lot of talk about, yeah, we'll see about this one. But as you know, the SSP and global headquarters fund all terrorists, or at least our movie version or government version of terrorists. And Hezbollah and the Houthis from Yemen are no exception here. Also, what we know is ISIS and Al-Qaeda. They even call Al-Qaeda on alternative media the Al-CIA-Ida, but, and there's a lot of truth to that. So the Hezbollah was told, I know this, on Saturday, and actually last week, they were told that they were going to be attacking Israel. And Israel was actually told the same, that they would be attacking Lebanon. And this is where the World War III was going to start. They would be paid X. They would be delivered X amount in weapons and all of these types of things. And the deal was cut. Until Saturday when the Hezbollah didn't get paid.
Yeah.
Actually, it was Friday they were supposed to get paid. It didn't happen, and so it rolled over to Saturday. And then by Saturday, alternative information has started leaking through even the underground terrorist networks. Because I've already done this before, too, with Bush Sr., as I've said. The Bulgarian biker gang, the Taliban's after me because it's my fault they didn't get paid. This was a decade ago. So pretty much anything that the global headquarters does at this moment in time, along with the SSP on behalf of probably Rothschild or the Dragon families, they're kind of all in it together, whether they want to admit it or not. It has already been done before. I'm like, oh, now I have a book of things to do against Kim. And I'm like, oh, that's a 391 in combination with an 11 and a 64. Okay, here's my response. It worked last time. It'll work this time. So we've already started sending messages through people we know that do business with these people.
Okay.
Behind the SSP's back and behind the government's back, because a lot of them are involved with governments too, and behind most certainly global headquarters and the SSP's back. So in this particular instance, and I don't know if you know this, but we have in the States here, Western Union. You're familiar with that, and in a lot of countries. And we also have MoneyGram. Both of those facilities are worldwide. You can pretty much drop off cash in one location and pick it up 5 or 10 minutes later in another location. Well, there's been a lot of different groups in this world, even ones that aren't involved in terrorism. They just happen to live in a country that is war-torn, or they don't have a lot of these facilities, and, they sanction them for something some oligarch did somewhere, or, some king did somewhere else. And I am talking about Middle East and different parts of Africa. So what a lot of these different groups have done is they have developed their own internal type Western Union systems, and they go by different names depending on which group, but a lot of them work together. And they have networks in the United States, they have networks in all throughout the Middle East, all throughout Africa, all throughout the United Kingdom, Russia. No matter where you go in the world, if you are, for example, a Shiite Muslim, you know where to find the network. You know, if you're familiar with these types of things. It's not necessarily a black market thing. It's not necessarily a negative thing. But, you know, for example, there was a long period of time, and even most recently in places like Iraq, where you can't send money back and forth to loved ones. You know, this could be a husband who's off somewhere else and the wife is there. You know, you need to, you know, send some money. You can't do it. There's no Western Union. There's no MoneyGram. They cut them off randomly all the time. You know, they cut off SWIFT, you know, in a lot of different cases. You know, they threatened to cut off SWIFT here and there during the Trump administration and all that. And you can see how they have become resourceful. And these networks are hundreds of years old in some cases. But the thing about these networks is that they are accessible if you know who to call. And the coolest part about these networks is they are used by regular everyday people, and they're also used by a lot of these organizations such as Hezbollah, Houthis, you know, and all these different rebel groups, ISIS, Taliban. So if you happen to know, you happen to be blonde, and you happen to know some people involved in this network, the quickest way to get the information out that the people that are promising you weapons and money are full of it, is through this network.
Okay.
So we started doing that about 48 hours ago and sending messages through these people and then having them pick it up like it's a money transfer. It'd be normal for anybody to go in, pick up a money transfer, but instead they're picking up information.
Interesting. Okay.
I know. See, it's times like these, you have to make sure that everybody knows. You know, and I learned this during the Bulgarian biker day gangs and Bush Sr. coming after me and the Taliban. So it looks like I haven't gotten a whole lot of messages back. I have gotten a few. They do understand. I've gotten some confirmations back from some different locations. And the information is spreading like wildfire. So now, you know, the good thing is my enemy does not think very highly of me.
Yeah.
You know, they really don't. And there's another thing going on here we're going to talk about how little they think of me in my strategic mind. You know, going back to last week, the analyzation of me, how my mind works. I have no training. I'm not a sleeper agent. I didn't have, if you don't train with them, you're nobody.
Yeah.
You know, it couldn't just be a person stuck in a circumstance that's trying to survive.
Right.
You know, they also underestimate humans in a lot of different locations when they're not able to manipulate their consciousness and their energy and their mind and their soul and everything else that was manipulated for them so that they would believe their stories. We'll say call them stories, tapestries of stories.
Yeah.
Pies, cow pies. And so I expect this truly to become increasingly difficult for them to understand. Well, if I can do all of this stuff, at some point in time, all of you will too.
Yeah.
This is not just a Kim thing. You know, in some cases it is just because I have more experience in fighting for my life and fighting, you know, in other ways. But all of you will have this same type of resourcefulness and ability to adapt, change, and overcome, and really take a look at systems and see how broken they are and see how to fix them. This isn't just a me thing. You know, this is a direct current situation with source and the wisdom. So yeah, so we got very inventive over the weekend. Now, pretty much, if you're watching this and you're with Global Headquarters or the SSP, there goes that thought process right out the window. And you can actually thank the now deceased Bush Sr. for training me so well and how to overcome a situation that could have been pretty detrimental, because I can tell you I was not in the zone at the time when this happened, and I had traveled in other places when this was happening as well. So I was in the neighborhood, let's just say, of some of these groups when all of this went down. So so I had to think pretty gosh darn fast there. Yeah. Pretty gosh darn fast.
Wow. Okay,
let's see what else is going on here. Overnight last night. So this was step by step. Now legal action isn't going to work. We got to think of something else. In comes a phone call from JP Morgan Chase Bank.
Okay.
They start out by informing us that Jamie Dimon is going to retire. And they have the person who is going to take his place, which is apparently currently in California. And they want to set up a meeting in New York. Obviously, it wouldn't be with me. It would be with Tom Melville, who would be going to New York. And then eventually with me here in Durango. They had heard about the fact that there were a group of people, call them people, that wanted to at least try something different at a bank. Remember, we talked about this last week. We talked about the offer that these people had made, so we were waiting to see what happened. Mm-hmm. Well, apparently they stumbled across some people who also work for similar agencies in the back office of JP Morgan Chase and tried to set up a transaction there.
Okay.
Well, true to form, Jamie Dimon got wind of it along with the board members, and they decided to have a wonderful talk and talk about how they're going to become just a service provider and how that's going to work and how the bank is going to make money. They also went ahead and informed us that the bank is swimming in debt right now. That's bad debt, so they can't be included as an asset. And they really, need to be pulled out of this mess. And they wanted to make sure we understood this.
Okay.
Well, is that a possibility? Sure. This is a possibility. This is a worldwide bank that could become a large service provider as long as everybody plays by the rules. And let me tell you the rules. Here is a soft conditional. What I mean by soft is these are the things that must be present should we come to terms. First of all, this is where my enemy really thinks that I am just a bimbo. They have to think that, because Jamie Dimon has taken up head at the global headquarters of the financial division, and he has done that several months ago.
Okay.
So he has been running the bank like it is the financial arm for global headquarters, trying to cut all kinds of credit lines, cutting off margin accounts of some people and giving margin accounts to global headquarters, giving small amounts of money to the government and small amounts of money to, wherever and whenever they can. Now, most of these facilities are non-existent. They also have been instrumental in trying to issue central bank digital currencies around the world and all kinds of things, because Jamie Dimon, whatever you want to call him. Demon, Diamond.
I feel like it's Demon.
Doman,
Yeah.
has become the token, how do I say this? He's the token cannon fodder at the moment for global headquarters. And they're using him and that bank like one of their greatest tools. Number 2, Rockefeller. The Rockefeller family is the genetic shareholder for JP Morgan Chase. Yes. So that means As you may or may not know, Rockefeller and J.P. Morgan himself, they go way back to the beginning of the bank, more than 100 years ago at this point. So, well, not quite, but let me think about it. Yeah. So they, it's more than 100 years ago. I think it's like the late 1800s. But they go way back to the very, very beginning of the bank, the families do. And J.P. Morgan was instrumental way back in the Standard Oil days. If you've ever read the book Seven Sisters and the seven largest oil companies, how they all tie back to Standard Oil. And then when they passed the Anti-Monopoly Act in the U.S., they just broke it all up and it was still owned by all the same families. So, that was pretty much, and it still is to this day.
Okay.
So this is kind of a little bit of the history of J.P. Morgan. So my responses were, number one, this guy needs to retire immediately. Before you and I do any kind of business, negotiation, or otherwise, he needs to agree to a golden parachute. And a golden parachute, for those of you that don't know, are permanent retirement pay.
Right.
And he needs to tell me what that amount is. He will go away. He will also sign as part of his resignation, immediate resignation, that he will not work for another financial institution anywhere in any country in the world or anyone providing financial services. He cannot work for Western Union. He cannot work for PayPal. He cannot work for any financial services company for 50 years. And for those of you that don't know, he's in his late 60s right now. So that would make him over 100 years, 110 years old, should he decide he wants to go back into the banking industry.
But is it really just about him? I would imagine he would have underlings and like tentacles out there.
Yep.
So that if it wasn't him, it was someone else. You know what I mean?
Well, again, I even went as far to say is he's not even permitted to bank there anymore. There's no reason for him to walk into that building whatsoever. Now, as far as shares, he will turn all his shares over immediately in favor of the golden parachute. And if I find he's placing one phone call to some compliance officer or somebody that works in that bank that's still responding to him or any other bank in the world, because remember, global headquarters is everywhere, you will lose everything. And I mean everything, including your ability to breathe air, should you violate this contract. And I'm not kidding.
Yeah.
Next, now we have to deal with the Rockefeller family. The Rockefeller family and global headquarters are both part of the Order of the Black Sun. And they are married together with the Rockefeller family way back in the days of J.P. Morgan, when J.P. Morgan was actually alive.
Okay.
So, they're involved with all that stuff, all of them. And we would actually consider a golden parachute to take over all of their genetic shares. That needs to happen. In order for us to make the bank right, to consider them a service provider worldwide, that amount, that percentage is negotiable. We're basically here to take over the fact that most of the services banks provide to you people are charge you personally for those services. And we are here to kind of come in and talk about the revising of worldwide point of sale transactions and the fees they charge to merchants. This makes things more accessible to you. And as a small business owner, not paying those fees sometimes means the difference between you being profitable and non-profitable. And how quickly can we get payments out to you? They should be almost instantaneous. We've got the equipment to do that. Meaning as a shop owner or store owner, why are we waiting all these days? This is ridiculous. So we need to come up with a better system of that. Now I know about those that insure, because there's insurance companies that insure those chargebacks and things. So we'll take all that into consideration. Now, as far as this swimming in debt situation, a lot of this quote unquote debt are derivatives that were issued and sold so that they could continue to issue credit lines for those militaries, plural, that have planted ghost flags in locations where they have taken over oil or gas or other commodities. And this could be in places like Nigeria. This could be in places like Ukraine. This could be lots of derivatives there, And this is all black market money that goes out the back door. So define swimming in debt.
Yeah.
And who are you in debt to? So I did a little more checking on what's really going on here. And unfortunately, they thought that I'd be like, oh, rainbows and sunshine for the people. Wow, what a gift everybody's giving me. We should run, not walk to JP Morgan Chase and deposit bazillions of dollars immediately.
Yeah.
So once I verbalized my soft request, because there may be additional requests as you get into negotiations with people, the board had to go throw their hat in the ring. We were doing fine with just the operatives and the other people that wanted to do this deal with Tom. Remember, you'd have to walk them in the back office of the bank. But no, everybody stuck their head in, global headquarters and otherwise, and just delay. And it is a big delay because that's the last part of the conversation. Well, we'll talk and, we're going to fly this guy in, we're going to talk on Tuesday and then we're going to talk some more and then Jamie Demon's not even going to quit for 6 months, and
feels like
all
a giant distraction, Kim, doesn't it? Kind of feel like they threw this your way, like, look, something shiny.
Do I look like Burger King to you?
Have it your way.
Well, we're going to continue to move on with or without them. I don't care if the board makes money. I don't even care if the bank makes money at this point in time. It is our way, We're building our own webs. We're building our own stuff to be able to walk in and hit any aspect of banking, possible, not just banking, but this is also things they send through telecommunications and light bulbs and everything else we find. So, while I appreciate their sentiment, it is abundantly clear to them now because the chatter came back literally within 15 minutes. Well, that didn't work. We spent all weekend coming up with this operation, and that didn't work.
That's awesome. What else? What else can we throw at her? That didn't work.
I mean, come on. And that's why I'm kind of mentioning to you about the underground Western Union type networks and all of these things. We know where all this stuff is. We are not dumb. We don't become ground command because we have no idea what we're doing. We sit around and eat bonbons, meditate, and paint our nails. We don't do that here, My nails most of the time look like I've climbed trees for a living, which is sad. I do like to be a girl, but it doesn't happen that often, which is why I'm sitting here in my little braids and my gym clothes and I'm talking to you a lot of days. But it is nice to, dress up and see you in person on camera, a lot of the time. But, as far as these people are concerned, you're going to have to do something that's not been done before.
Yeah.
Will you catch me off guard? Would I buy a plane from you? You still haven't gotten me any stuff. You guys all owe me money.
Stuff. We need stuff, guys.
I know.
Come on.
Yeah, exactly. We need stuff. I don't know if I would take the stuff and not properly inspect it to like the nth degree, before I tried to take off in an airplane or something. But
it's true.
Because I don't trust you people. But either way, the point is that I don't know if they're running out of ops or they've never been able to run an op or they only got to choose from the menu of ops because we seem to be doing the same thing over and over and over again. yeah, we find a new little caveat. I never thought in a million years that they would basically have some kind of a back door into LED light bulbs, for Christ, you know? I mean,
gosh.
really?
Yeah.
God, I know.
It's
but
crazy.
You did catch me off guard there. I'm like, wow, you know?
Yeah.
But it led us to a facility that needed to go. And we had been to Mount Denali 100 times in Alaska, and several other places, obviously in Juneau. Obviously, we've been underneath the facility where HARP was, and a lot of those places in the past. But I guess everything shows itself when it needs to show itself.
Yeah.
You know, it's kind of like diffusing a bomb. But all in all, a fairly successful weekend. Holding breath over here, you know, for the corporate America, JP Morgan they'll probably 2 years from now, they'll figure it out. I don't know. You know, we move fast. When we want to do something, we move fast. There is no teams of lawyers and lies and delays. And, you know, what they're doing, though, I will tell the operative group that's working with Mr. Melville, they are going to go behind your back. And they're going to notify the board, who's greedy as greedy can be. So you need to be prepared, whichever bank you're going to go to, you need to be prepared to ensure that the people you're talking to do not communicate outside your circle. And what does it cost to do that? We're not getting greedy here. Like I said, you know, some of these people are probably going to have to quit, you know, millions of dollars, retirement, that kind of thing. You know, we don't know what's going to happen, but you need to be aware that that's what happened this weekend. That's what took place. Mm-hmm. We got real close right to the end, and they came in and backdoored you. And those are the people that you used to work for. So chin up, guys. And that's why I'm ground command.
So what about on our side, our direct connection to source?
It's going very well. As you can see, there's not like we're completely devoid of things.
Sure.
And we're going as fast as we can. As far as the humans direct connection, right. Places like this would definitely cause a disturbance, but and it doesn't mean that they don't ramp up their game either. And there is something else I'm looking for as of this morning. It started on Saturday, and it's some kind of neurological disturbance that's been happening, which is causing people, it's not so much changing your thought process, but altering your hypersensitivity to stimuli. In other words, if you have something that normally angers you a little bit, like something your kids do, like they're not getting in the car, you know, when you need them to get in the car because you're going to be late. They would normally have a response like, oh, mom, you know, or you would have a response like, oh, you know, get in the car, we're going to be late, and I'll give you a lollipop or whatever it is when we're done. And, you know, that's the end of that, right? And they get in the car. Well, now what it's causing is a hyper stimulated response. So things that would normally make you slightly irritated or slightly angry are starting to make not all, but some people hyper angry. Like, you know, get in the car, and then you start throwing your kids in the car. Not like you would do that, Sonny, but you know what I'm saying. You know, your instincts would stop you. But
so, you know, that's interesting because my son is going through something right now, because obviously this can affect kids as well, right?
Yeah.
Like younger people.
People in general, they're humans.
Yeah.
Shorter, yes.
Shorter, he is. He is a little shorter. Not much. He's growing really quickly. But no, he has been kind of flying off the handle. When would this have started?
I would say it's been off and on for the last 2 weeks.
Okay.
But I would say it really started ramping up probably about Wednesday,
Okay.
Of this week. And by Saturday, it really hit its peak. So it's neurological responses to stimuli. So this is one form of stimuli, a communication with a loved one, communications with other people. Feeling weird if you're in a mall or a large concert or an area where there's a lot of people, because you're getting all their energy. And like it's like nails on a chalkboard when you hear somebody fighting, it's like really affects you, where normally you'd just be like, oh, I'm glad I'm not in that relationship or something,
Yeah. Yeah.
Not only from that type of thing, but also other types of stimuli. Maybe you have back pain, off and on from working, and it's like 100 times worse than it was before. Okay. Maybe you have a digestive thing going on or something like that. It's 100 times worse. Maybe you're the kind of person that you start to get a little bit of a cold. Maybe you take some kind of an immune booster and vitamin C or vitamin D, and you're all better, but you're not. It's very hard. Like, you have a very strong immune system, and normally you shake these things off, but now it hits you, So I'm seeing a lot of all types of things that can be controlled by your central nervous system being affected. And it's almost like it's a push and a pull, because you're getting that direct current, but you're also getting direct current from something else somewhere. So I'm still working on those types of things. We found the one response. As far as direct current is concerned, yes, you're getting it, but am I getting direct current from anything other than this major energy facility? And that's the question right now. So, that's what I'll be working on all afternoon and evening tonight and throughout the next couple of days till I see you next anyway. So I'll give you a progress report on Wednesday as to how we did, what else we found. But there's definitely something going on out there, because those of you that are in the know, and you're watching this, you're starting to also recognize, because of the direct current coming in, you're also starting to recognize, wait a minute, this is not normal, and even in your own self, wait a minute, this is not normal. I don't normally get upset because my significant other squeezes the tube of toothpaste from one side, or whatever, or the top or the bottom, or leaves the toilet seat up, or whatever is going on in your world. You're like, that's always been something that you're like, oh, can't you just put it down and you just leave it, right? Like, that's never going to happen. I've asked 1,000 times, but now you're like, toilet,
Your body turns green. You start ripping your shirt off.
You got the smoke coming out your ears like the cartoons, and you're like, toilet. But like you said, unsuspecting people that are unaware won't take that second to go, wait a minute.
Right. Like children. Children usually react and then maybe think later when their parents say, maybe you should think about not reacting that way. Yeah, my son's going through something, and I've noticed it. It's been longer than a week, but it's good to know that maybe that there's something else happening and he's not just being stubborn.
Yeah.
We'll see.
Kids also go through phases too.
I know. Yeah.
That age where, things are starting to change, hormones are starting to go.
Yeah.
Kids, they're starting to hang out more with other kids. It's not just play dates anymore or whatever we do. It's, school, it's influences. Then you're basically having an interaction with those kids' parents.
Oh, yeah.
And what I mean by that is we're not talking to their parents directly, but you're talking to them through your son, whose friend, might live in a dysfunctional family or not the same way your household runs. And, it is a time of rebellion and independence and that kind of thing too. So maybe a little bit more reactive these days,
Yeah.
There's always something. You never know.
It is. And they're always changing too. He's 12, so he'll change tomorrow.
Oh, yeah.
It's like, oh my gosh. But okay.
I love you so much, Mom. You're the best mom in the whole world. That's what I got.
That would be nice if he would say that. He's kind of on the opposite end of that right now.
Yeah.
Don't touch me, Mom. Ugh. That's what I'm getting a lot of right now.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, and then, part of that too is that, the body's changing and, with boys, they have weird responses they can't control.
Yeah.
A strong wind and there's a response and it's like they're not even thinking about those things. And it's a little embarrassing, and you're the woman, you're still a mom, but you're still a woman and it's weird, these weird things are happening. So, it too shall pass, but, it's a time of a lot of change and they feel guilty, embarrassed, you've got religion comes into play and that kind of thing too. And we're not supposed to think these things and do these things. And then they feel shame,
Yeah.
So he'll love you again. Don't worry. Might take a little while, but
this too shall pass.
Yes, too shall pass. That's right.
Yeah.
Well, that's about what I have for Monday.
Okay.
And I guess I will see everyone on Wednesday. Hopefully you, Sunny, will be here at the same time.
Yay! We could do it again. I like our little banter. All right. Well, thank you, Kim.
Thank you, Sunny.
Want to share news from UNN? Help us change the face of social media and use it for good. Connect with us through our online channels. Our social media team creates clips from each newscast you can easily share with people you care about. That's also where you'll find our UNN Meme of the Day, a great way to encourage critical thinking. Links to all our social media sites are available at the bottom of our website at unitednetwork.earth. Let's change the face of news together.
That wraps up today's news update. Please share UNN with your friends and family. We need everyone to come together and help restore our planet. When news happens in your area, record and share it with us so together we can share it with the world. Remember, if it's going to be, it's up to me. I'm Sunny Galt. Join us Monday, Wednesday, and Friday for the real news.